Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the May 24th Al-Anon readings in Courage to Change and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I will take a moment and look this over. The question is, how can I practice Al-Anon principles in all my affairs today? And the passage begins with this person saying that they learned what practicing these principles in all our affairs means when their sober husband became ill, and an entire year was spent dealing with all the details of that. This person found that they were falling into old habits by trying to take control of the situation, telling their husband when to go to sleep, when to shower, when to take their meds. When this person realized that they were trying to control the situation, they really dove into their Al-Anon program by saying the Serenity Prayer, journaling, communicating with their sponsor, attending meetings, making phone calls, reading conference-approved literature, and kind of staying out of their husband's business. This person said they had to accept that the situation may never change, and their job was to let it go. Today's reminder: the principles of Al-Anon apply to every aspect of our lives. The quote is from Courage to Change. We grow through terribly difficult times. Usually the situation alters, or we learn to find peace with it. How can I practice Al-Anon principles in all my affairs today? I really like this page. It's a great reminder that situations usually, they either change or we often find ways to just manage it. And I was talking to my father and my stepmom. They're driving up for the summer. They live in Florida, but they also have a place up north and closer to where I live. And they're on their way up. And my stepmom, who's been diagnosed with dementia, that alone has challenges in traveling, in everyday life, but especially in packing to be away for a few months from home, because the planning piece is not really strong anymore. So apparently there was a medical incident where something happened. Her leg was hurting her, and they stopped at an emergency room, a hospital, and in South Carolina, and they spent a few hours there, got no help, and when they called me earlier today, they were sitting on the highway in South Carolina in bumper to bumper traffic. And they both sounded okay, but like not a fantastic situation. And what can I do about it? Absolutely nothing. My father said he thought about turning around and going back to Florida, which, if he thinks he needs to do, he should do that. But at the time that I talked to them earlier today, they were still headed north. And like as I'm recording this, they are on the road. And there's nothing I can do about it except be supportive when I talk with them. My father has all his faculties. He's a very, very good driver. He loves to drive. It's not that I'm like particularly worried or anything like that. It's just it's it's not fun to know that people I care about are I don't know, struggling. I don't know, kind of struggling. I guess that's not really the right word, but and also even bigger is the awareness that like nothing is permanent, everything changes, uh, for the better, for the worse. Things change, and that can be a scary thought, which is why I think Al-Anon is constantly telling us to remain in the present moment. Because if we think about right here, right now, usually things are okay. Like even for my dad and my stepmom, they were frustrated with everything they had been through, but when I talked to them, it was sunny. They were in their car, they were safe, the air conditioner was on. It was like 92 degrees, not exaggerating, 92 degrees in South Carolina today. But the weather was, like my dad said, it wasn't snowing, it wasn't storming, there weren't fires. Many times when they come up, they have to deal with road closures, and even if the road isn't closed, sometimes there's smoke because of fires during this time of the year on the highways that they take to travel up north. So they're not, they weren't dealing with any of that. They had each other for company. They were safe in the car. The sun was shining. I'm sure they'll put listening to some fun music. They're always listening to fun music. And um, so I guess how I can practice Al-Anon principles in all my affairs today is to read my conference-approved literature, try to stay in the moment, ask my higher power for help, Just be grateful for all that I have and just stay in the moment. Sometimes I feel like I'm like clawing my nails into the present, the present moment, because I don't want to sound like a downer, but um, gosh, it was over 5 years ago now because my beloved neighbor, my former neighbor, before I sold my house, he passed away during COVID in November of 2020, and he was 95 when he passed away. So a nice long life, but still, the older I get, the more I realize that like it just goes so fast. So in any case, one day I was years ago, like probably 7 years ago or so now, I was just helping him shovel his driveway. And I said, does it ever get any easier? I was just talking about life in general. And he said, I don't want to scare you, but it gets much, much worse. And, you know, he wasn't being dramatic. He was telling me his experience. And even though I'm on the very young side of old, I'm on the very old side of young and the very young side of old, 56. Like I can see what he's talking about. But again, it's really important to stay in the moment. So, Al-Anon principles always tell me everything about Al-Anon is here and now, right now. So, I think that should be my focus. And I can do what I can do, but that's all I can do. And a lot of the other things that tend to worry me are out of my control, and that's what Al-Anon teaches me. So I just have to remember that and feel more calm. I remember I made a poster. It's actually in one of my closets right now. I have double closets in my room. You can't see it because of this angle, but it's really cool. This house was built in the 60s, and there are two closets in this room. It's really cool. But in any case, in one of the closets, in the closet that I keep my coats in, I have this poster and it says, everything is out of control. And it's like a Buddhist saying, because it's meant to um, reinforce the idea that just be grateful and relax because there's nothing really that we can do. Which can which can either drive you crazy or give you some peace knowing that like you've done all you can just by doing your due diligence, doing your responsibilities, but not trying to take on more. All right. All right. So this page that I'm about to read has a tab on it, and I'm going to read it right now. This is about God's will for us, or higher power, whatever you want to call it. It's about not getting what we want and how sometimes that works out much better for us because we think we want something, but if we accept our higher power's will, sometimes we end up with something much, much better. And this doesn't mention step 11, but this is what they're talking about. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And again, don't worry about the pronouns, him, his, don't worry about that. This is just the way it's written, but it could be female, it could be no gender, it could be all genders, it could be whatever works for you. But that's really what this is talking about without mentioning actually step 11. When we place God's will above our own, our dreams have a chance of becoming a reality. Today's reminder: it suggests we surrender to the will of our higher power. And the quote is from the 12 Steps and Traditions. Our higher power is working for our ultimate good, but we have to be ready to receive the help. That's actually a great companion to the reading in this, because it kind of goes along with what I've been saying this whole time, which is that I can always find refuge and serenity in the present if I stick with the present and just ask for my higher power's help and the will to carry that. Well, I said it wrong. Ask for knowledge of my higher power's will and the power to carry that out. And I can also just ask for help. Absolutely, just ask for help. It's funny. A couple of minutes ago, my alarm went off because I have my phone alarm on every day to go off at 2, because where I live, 2 o'clock is 7 o'clock UK time, and that's when someone in the UK, her name is Pam Gregory, she does this, she started this thing where everybody meditates. We are welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love from 7 to 7:15 p.m. UK time, which is 2 to 2:15 my time. So I'm going to wrap this up so I can get the last few minutes in. But again, as always, these readings are so helpful for me. I hope they're helpful for you too. We'll close out with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.